Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Footy Mailbag. My name is Clarky.
And I'm Damo.
Play the song. Damo, we are only 4 weeks away from hitting into some finals of football, and, we're into finals Supercoach as we stand now. How'd your week go? You feeling confident going into your league finals?
If I made any of my league finals, the answer is no. No, I do not. I'm out of trades. I've exhausted my bench cover. More players are getting injured. I'm at the point of the season where all I can do is look at my team and just look at my team, just stare and watch a car crash happen. And when it reaches this point in the season, all I can do is learn about my team and learn what I need to not do next year.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's good that you're being optimistic about what's happening for your team at the moment. I think, obviously, by the sounds of it, you got hit with the Callaghan injury from this week, which, we will talk about later on, but I don't think it's necessarily all too bad, Damon. All it takes is a couple of good scores, some good captain scores, and, there's always learnings, but there's always positives. There's always things that we forget and we don't reflect on until after the season that we really did well or that we can be proud of. So it's important to just take some time and make sure that you're remembering the good times, Damo. Remember the good times? Like when you had trades?
Yep. If only I'd used them better.
I actually managed a decent score this week. I managed to scrape together a 25-42, which wasn't the biggest score out there, but did manage to jump me up a 6K rank. So I'm now just sitting outside the top 20K, which feels pretty good for where my year has been at. I'm out of trades. I needed way more bench coverage than I thought I did. My injury trades dried up pretty quickly, but this was it. A couple of good captain scores really helped me. Last week, I looped Marcus Herbert's 134 for Noah Anderson's 125. And listeners, I asked Damo for his advice and our good friend Nate, who writes our captain's articles over at thefootymailbag.net. And I asked your guys' opinions, which player should I be benching to take Marcus Herbert's 134? Because I had the loop with Ison. Damo, you initially said LDU. The options that I listed were LDU, Newcomb, Noah Anderson, who had been having a few bad weeks, and Ed Richards, who had also been having a few bad weeks. You said LDU initially. Nate was undecided, but I think he sailed around the LDU or Newcomb sort of range, and then you switched to Anderson, and I was right there with you on LDU, and then you were like, Anderson. I was like, no, you know what? Looking at the numbers, there's a pretty good chance that it's one of these two. I was wrong. Cost myself about 50 points.
I would just like to say you got 9 more points out of Herbert than you would have got out of Noah Anderson. So it wasn't the wrong choice because you did get the bigger score. It was just
not as optimal as I could.
Yeah, correct. It was there were better options, but you still got more points out of it.
But it was really lovely to have a prolific score from somebody who we kind of, if you do have Marcus Herbert, it was kind of a cheapy option that we just started and played alongside. And he's had a few weeks of just some nice little scores. He's averaging 83.8, and nothing wrong with that if you're asking me, Damo.
No, he's had a really good few weeks, and I'm pretty sure he was in one of the top traded out players last round. So I put him as a hold on the traffic lights because no Liam Baker required him to play the role that he played in the Derby. And we just saw 134 come out of him in that game. So if people traded out Marcus Herbert and missed out on that score, your team's probably in better shape than mine is. But still, I think Marcus Herbert is a great hold for the rest of the year. And I reckon it wouldn't surprise me that he averages about 95 from here on in.
Well, looking at his stat line, it's actually not out of the realm of possibility that he could do that. Since his first game in round 14, he's probably averaged 15 or more disposals. In the last 4 weeks, probably closer to 20, which include a few. Some of those lower scores, his 86 against the Bulldogs included 5 clangers. His 56 against the Crows included 4 clangers out of 19 disposals. It's really good that we've got these options: 36 disposals, 18 kicks, 18 handballs, only 3 clangers. A really good game for him in the derby, and they're playing, I believe, Richmond this round, which could be a nice little matchup for him to continue some good scoring. So I'm looking to potentially loop him again.
Yeah, well, like I said, my bench cover is exhausted, so he's on field for me. He's now a premium. He's been upgraded in my team's rankings. He's got to perform like this for the rest of the season if I'm going to be any chance of winning my Supercoach finals, my Supercoach League finals.
Well, I'm going to use that demo as my what caught my eye this week. So what caught your eye this week?
I mean, I've sort of already touched on it. I've got no trades. My bench is exhausted. All I can do is look at my team and learn off my team. And on Friday, I released an article called The Supercoach Butterfly Effect, where I outlined one decision I made that didn't really pan out for my team. I chose Josh Dacos over Lockie Ash as my Connor Rosie replacement. And doing the maths, it probably has cheated me out of about 5 to 10 points a week off my total score, which doesn't feel like a lot, but when it all adds up, it's about 150 to 200 points, depending on what metric you want to use. And
you really feel that in that when you're at this stage of the season as well.
Yeah, but I mean,
that couple of 10 points can change your rank. That can change an outcome in a league match.
Yeah, and while it doesn't sound like a lot, and one decision didn't make my season, I zeroed in on that one specifically because because when I get to this point, I always go back and look at my trades, look at how I've, moved my team along, and there are certainly some trades that made perfect sense at the time, but I think the trades when I had injured players, instead of really calculating what to do with the injured players, I just moved them on to whoever was in form without really looking at a stat line, really looking at a fixture, really looking at all the things that I said in the preseason that I was going to do. I remember in the preseason, I was really strong on letting the green dot do the work for what trades I did and which players I had on my field or didn't have on my field. And I just didn't stick with that, especially when a player got injured. I was more concerned with getting them out of my team rather than maybe holding them for a 1 or 2 week injury or checking what the recovery could be like or that kind of thing, or seeing what moves I could make with DPPs or that kind of thing. It was more of a panicked move when an injured player popped up rather than an actual thought out move. And I called my team the proverbial guinea pig so I can tell people what definitely not to do out of experience. But it does annoy me when I can give all the advice that I give to people, and we've had people listen to write into this podcast and say, I listened to you all season and I finished top 10. I listened to you all season, I'm in the top 100, all that sort of thing. I wonder what my team would be doing right now if I'd listened to my own advice. I just wonder if
a small demo that existed that would just look at your team and provide you with its own objective advice.
It's really becoming a problem of do as I say, not as I do. Whereas I need to do as I say a bit more than I do.
We talk a lot about mentality on this podcast. And I think this kind of typifies what I think of as the problem. The problem isn't necessarily me, it's that I am incapable of being impartial with my own team. It's very easy to give advice, and it's actually one of the very beautiful things about Supercoach. It's a very social game. You probably have group chats with your friends that you talk about Supercoach with. You probably have, people at work maybe that you have a work league and you talk about the football and Supercoach with, and all these little things sort of creep in to create your own sense of, I already know what I want to do. I know who I bounce my ideas off that works. And for you and I, Damo, it becomes kind of this, there's an extra element of wanting to be creative, I think. I'm not saying that people generally are, but I think we tend to get in our own heads a little bit because of the nature of this show and our intent. We are always trying to think of multiple different angles instead of just doing the thing that makes the most sense to us. You know, you always have this idea of you've seen a lot of different things happen. So why couldn't this happen? Or, you know, if I, you know, what would the world look different if I started a different player instead of Ed Richards? You know, not too long ago, probably about 6 weeks ago, I was talking about how LDU felt like a really good start compared to Nick Dacos, and I brought Nick Dacos into my team later, and well, that looks like Nick Dacos has well and truly overtaken and overshadowed LDU's performances now. So it's these kind of confirmation biases that we present to ourselves, and listeners, you're probably doing it to yourself as well, which is why we focus so much on the social aspect of Supercoach. So maybe you do need a mini demo.
I actually think
Magic 8-ball demo.
I think I say a lot of words but don't really remember what I say. Like Nate, who's obviously not here for the recording, will listen to the podcast in his own time, and he'll mention things to us that we said during the podcast, and a lot of the time the reaction is, I said that? What did I say that in reaction to? What did I say that in relation to? Like, it's almost a case of I need to study myself. Like, I might need to listen to the podcast back a bit more intently and write down the good points I make is just in general. So I've got it there in like a notebook or something, because some of the things I say, like Nate points it out all the time, like some of the things that me and you say, like that's like, it's almost biblical.
Nah, I think if I were to be put into some kind of Supercoach science chamber, all the scientists that would look in through like the one-way glass, like I'd be sat there at the little metal table, like an interrogation room. They've given me like a Rubik's Cube and like a bunch of different puzzles, and I'm like freaking out, not able to do it. And they're like, oh, this one was made wrong. There's something wrong with this one. This one's broken. And I'm sitting there going like, and it's just that for 15 minutes at a time. Science would agree that I was built wrong. I am an abomination. But what isn't an abomination, Damo, will be our NFL kickoff episode, because Supercoach NFL is almost upon us. You and I partake in NFL fantasy, and we have sleeper leagues. Ooh, another platform that we're mentioning. But Supercoach has delved into the realm of NFL, and we want to also delve into that realm just a little bit as well. So that's planned to come at the end of August. If you have questions, if you want to get involved in NFL Supercoach, we can be a jumping off point. We can hold your hand through it because we're figuring it out ourselves. They did it for the first time last season, and it was a lot of fun. And this is another year, baby. The games are on at really sociable times as well when the NFL season is on. Like if you're lucky enough to work from home, or you just have a bit of downtime, you can just chuck an NFL game on in the background on Mondays and Tuesdays from about 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Melbourne time, and that's just good to have on in the background. It's good fun.
Yeah, I would definitely say that NFL is probably my next most followed sport outside of AFL. So I'm really excited for NFL Supercoach and NFL Fantasy season. It's probably the next one that I prepare for once my AFL Supercoach team is in the situation it is in now. But yeah, like this season is going to have some great talking points, like can Kyler Murray resurrect his career at the Vikings? Like he's walked out of the Arizona Cardinals and signed with the Vikings, who by all reports are looking to put him under center. They're going to abandon the JJ McCarthy experiment. So there's lots of little storylines like that, which is all going to really help our fantasy and Supercoach teams come that time of year.
Which is crazy for McCarthy, because I definitely think that he is still cooking. Anyway,
as someone who followed his career at Michigan, I think he's better than what his first NFL season produced.
Oh, for sure. And for me personally, I'm looking forward to this NFL season to see if I'm a New York Giants fan, and I want to see if the guy who was fired from the Ravens, the head coach that was fired from the Ravens for not making finals, can help the Giants make finals. We'll find out. Crazy. But in more local sporting news, AFLW Fantasy is around the corner. Damo is catching up with our good friend of the pod, Liam from Free Kick. He will be releasing an AFLW Fantasy episode on Monday, where Liam's going to help Damo put together AFL Fantasy teams. I'm also going to be putting together my team based on what Liam says in that episode. Unfortunately, I can't be there for the recording, but we love the guys over at Free Kick. Make sure you go follow the official AFLW Fantasy podcast, and make sure you go follow all the guys from Free Kick because they do fantastic work within the AFLW Fantasy space. Go follow AFLW in general, guys. It's awesome. I'm very excited. I'm very, very excited for Alyssa Bannon's supremacy for Melbourne this year.
Yep. It feels like it feels like a player from Melbourne joins Freo every single year, whether in the women's team or in the men's team. And this time it's Eden Zanker that's jumped ship over to Freo. So
I was devastated about that.
So you're now relying on Alyssa Bannon as your spearhead in your forward line. But yeah, I mean, there's going to be some really good AFLW fantasy options this season, especially with the expanded format. So really, really good to look at and really good to sit down with Liam, and that episode will be out on Monday.
Yeah. Sad that you brought up Eden Zanker because I'm still really devastated by that, because Eden Zanker has been like one of those players who I'm just like, I follow you always because I think that you are so wonderfully talented, and she just really came to prominence in Melbourne, and then she's like, I'm out of here. But change might be good. We also would like to shout out our support for, hey, if you're not doing anything on Saturday, AFLW Australia versus Ireland is on. That's going to be awesome. Looking forward to that. Damo, are you going to be backing the Irish, or are you going to be backing the Aussies?
It's difficult. It feels like Ireland has more Freo players, but Australia is Australia. It's where I live. It's where I was born. So I might just watch the game for the sake of watching the game rather than supporting either side. But like, Ireland has Ash McCarthy and Orla Lally from the Dockers, and then Australia has Mim Strom. Like, three great AFLW players from the Dockers, and I just think it's going to be a good game. It's a shame they couldn't get it out of North Sydney Oval though.
And look, I don't want to be that guy, but they absolutely could have. And the fact that they didn't try to move it to the SCG is exactly why. It's just another one of those examples that we use when we say the AFL has no interest in growing the game. And that fucking sucks, man. Like, it would be so easy to try and find a better equipped ground, a larger venue to, like, literally, like, if you build it, they will come. People want to go to this game. People want to see this. People want AFLW, and you need to give it opportunity, and you just don't by putting it in small venues that aren't equipped to handle large crowds.
I think, like, even NG Stadium was free.
Yeah. Unfortunately, look, as much as I love the Irish team, I'm a big, I really like Orla O'Dwyer. Big fan.
She's captaining the Irish team, isn't she?
She absolutely is, and I am just. It's like my heart tears when I see all these wonderful female players, and yeah, it's. I want to go for both teams, but I got to back like Tyler Hanks and Kate Hoare in the same team. My blind eyes are on to see my Melbourne team, my Melbourne captain, performing for the Australian team, but looking forward to a really good match in that front. Bringing it back to AFLM Supercoach, Damo, who's on your never again list for 2027?
Never again lists are hard because a player can always erase themselves from a never again list. So it's almost like a not right now list.
No, that's not true. I got a name for you straight away.
But my never again added this year, Finn Callaghan.
Why?
Every time I've owned him, he's been shit or injured. And it feels like he's good without me. So maybe it's a mutual So maybe it's a mutual uncoupling.
This is very unselfish work from Damo. He's doing it for himself and for Finn. They're better apart, you know? It's like, is it Hancock? Is that the movie, the Will Smith movie, where like the two people, they can't be close to each other, otherwise they get super weak, so he has to go be a homeless guy or whatever?
Do you know the one? There's one thing I remember about Hancock, and it's that the movie has a definite middle part where the ending is just awful. Like
Yes.
it's like it has a great first half or so, and then it gets to a certain point, and then it's shit.
I think I would argue the whole movie's crap, but that's you know, that's
Well,
just
yeah.
me.
Because of the second half, it makes the whole thing a waste of time. But there is definitely a good half of the movie.
Yeah. Dan Houston will be on my never again list.
Right. Okay. I see it.
For obvious
I
reasons.
I haven't been graced with his foul stench this season, so I cannot comment. But you have probably mentioned at least once a week on this podcast since coming into ownership of him how bad he is. So I'm not surprised.
Yeah, it might be one of the worst things that I've done. I'm also pretty convinced at this stage that Cozzy Pickett won't be making it into my 2027 team.
Well, he's going to lose DPP, and as a mid only, it makes it really difficult to sell the vision.
Well, not only that, but it's just the constant need for spike scores is really debilitating. Like looking at his sort of run, it's like, yep, cool, like 100, 90, 100, yep, like 74, 54s, 74s. Like he goes on these like real purple patches and then drops a couple of 60s, and it's just, I think I want to be able to find more consistency in my team, and it's guys like Pickett. I'd say Petrarca is pretty close, given the way that he's currently working. A lot of Gold Coast mids are ruling themselves out for me because I don't see what changes next year. Noah Anderson probably being the one exception.
I think the whole Gold Coast system, it's almost you want to ignore this second half of the season for any player that's 6th round at Gold Coast for next season. You just it's kind of like, I don't think it's been any fault of any of the players entirely.
Oh no, not at all.
So even Christian Petrarca, people are adding him to their never again list, and to be fair, he's very close to being on mine. But it's at a point where I almost need to forgive a player from the Suns if next year they do come out and return to, you know, what we all invested in them for. So I think any player from Gold Coast, you just got to forget.
Yep. I'm going to put your boys on there as well, Andy Brayshaw and Caleb Sarong. I just need to, maybe it's not necessarily never again, but it's definitely like exceptional circumstances to add, because I just don't think, going on my theme of wanting guys who can perform consistently, I don't want to wait half a year for Andy Brayshaw to be great. I don't want to wait half a year for Caleb Sarong to be great. It just doesn't make sense.
I completely understand it, and I think it comes from a lesser reliance on one player or a couple of players to be great in the system that they've built this season. They're allowing everyone to shine in their different ways, which has meant the Supercoach scores, even for the best performing of them, have only been, you know, 105s or like really low premium style scores. So, like, people have added Jordan Clark to their never again list. I've seen Jordan Clark's year hasn't been bad. Like, I feel like his worst scores have just come when people needed him to perform the most.
Yeah, that seems fair.
He's still averaging 93 for the season. And
it's hard when we spend so much of the preseason with expectation.
Yeah. But it's like he's gone 119, 96, 96, 92, and then a 66. And then, but, you know, even after four weeks of pretty good scores, after 66, he's landing on people's never again list. So it's recency bias, but also I think people need to look at someone's season really before making a never again decision.
Yeah, I can't think of too many other people who are going to be off my list for the entirety of a year. Pretty skeptical of Zach Merritt, even if he moves clubs. I'm pretty skeptical of Lockie Neal, once again because he's just another one with consistency issues. Probably Hugh McCluggage, but is it never again if they're never someone that I consider?
If Hugh McCluggage if Hugh McCluggage gains forward DPP next season, I don't see how he can be on your never again list. I think he's someone you need to seriously consider, especially considering he'll probably start at a discounted price for his probable output.
This is how they get you, Damo. This is how they get you.
But stick to your guns. Like this is what I'm saying. Stick to your guns. Whatever you think about these players, because has clearly shown this year I can be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very difficult when it comes to questions like this because I don't think anyone is really on my never again list unless they've committed a crime or used a slur. Those are the only people who really, truly go on my never again list. Dan Houston probably being one exception, just because I really didn't want to trade him in. I think that's the lesson that I take away from instead of a never again. It's just that listen to yourself and don't get players who you have parts of your body screaming out, I don't want that guy.
Yeah, well, like I said at the beginning of the segment, I don't like the term never again list. I prefer it to be called a not right now list.
Yeah, maybe we should have named the segment. Maybe we shouldn't have named the segment the never again list segment. Who knows?
The burn list.
The burn list. Supercoach Finals begins this week, listeners, so make sure your teams are set up for them, and good luck, unless you're against me, in which case, please lose. Injury and suspension news for this week. Finn Callaghan has done his ankle, probably done for this year?
Yeah, he is out for the season. He opted for surgery, which is a 12-week recovery, so that puts him out for the rest of the season, but puts him back at day one of GWS Giants preseason. So he's the Giants probably making finals, or at least face an uphill battle for that. So he's made the smart decision, in my opinion.
If they made finals, that would be crazy, though.
Yes,
it's mathematically possible.
It is. It is. If they lose this week,
Carlton, Giants, and North are all competing for that 10th spot, aren't they?
Yeah, I would say North and Gold Coast unlikely. And if the Giants lose to Port this week, it probably only puts Carlton and St Kilda in the race for that 10th spot.
Yeah. I low-key want Carlton to make it. Just because I think it's funnier for St Kilda to miss out for some reason.
It's always funny when St Kilda misses out.
Notorious.
Especially after spending so much money on these recruits and then playing like you've paid $400K for them instead, and then only just scraping into relevancy by being 10th. It's just very St Kilda.
Maybe I'm being too harsh. I think it would be funny for Carlton to make it because they had one of the worst starts of the year. A start to the year so bad that it killed a coach. So for them to make wild card finals in the end as an aside, right? You know how Michael Voss has joined Fox Footy? Yeah.
He'll break down plays for Fox Footy, and I just kind of tune him out because I know how bad Carlton's start to the season was. Like, I have seen him this season not be able to coach or put together a tactical advantage against an opposition team, where anything he says on TV now, I'm just kind of like, yeah, but you couldn't do this when you were in charge. So how do you know what this team should be doing? Like why? Like, I get it. You're a big name from being, the Brisbane captain in that 3-peat, all that sort of thing. You've got a big name. You're a big football guy, but I've seen you coach. Like,
big football guy.
Like like these tactics that you're talking about, they didn't work because like when you were coach. So why am I listening to you scrutinize another team?
I have 2 points to make about that. Number one being, I am dead set convinced this was the players didn't want to play for Michael Voss. I don't think Michael Voss was untalented. I think he lost the playing group. I don't think this is necessarily just about being a bad coach. I think it's about being a bad leader. The second thing is, and I've actually quite enjoyed Michael Voss on Fox Footy. I think he's been pretty insightful at times, and he feels a bit down to earth. Like he's still got his real dad vibes. But Damo, I put it to you when you say, I know that you can't do this. That also applies to like 90% of the Fox Footy stuff. Just in general, like all of the people who are responsible for breaking down the football. I sit there and I go like, yeah.
But like, I mean, you're right, because David King was an assistant coach and then never got a new gig once he was booted from, I think it was the Western Bulldogs at his last assistant coaching gig. Like, he couldn't find somewhere else to go, so he went into the media and now just reads champion data stats off a laptop. But I just there's something about being sacked as a coach and then going straight into football TV that just makes you very. I can't. I don't know what I don't know what to call it. It just doesn't feel like something I should pay attention to.
That's fair. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt because I don't think I think he operates more in good faith than some of the other presenters that are out there.
Yeah. I mean,
which is worth at least hearing. Like if I've listened to Ken Hinkley for about 10 weeks now on Channel 7. I can give Michael Voss a chance. If Ken Hinkley gets a go, Michael Voss can have a little turn to see how he goes.
Do you remember when Ken Hinkley started on Fox Footy and everyone was like, wow, his analysis is awesome. He's telling everyone what's going on the field. It's great. We want more of this analysis where he is telling us what's going on rather than just shouting at us and giving us phrases that we don't understand. 15 weeks later, everyone wants him off the TV screen because all he's doing is, coddling the Port Adelaide players and being very biased towards, the Port Adelaide team. And it's just, I don't know. It's like we seem to cuddle up to certain people and then disregard other people. And obviously I'm guilty of this with what I've just said about Michael Voss. But
I think with Ken Hinkley, the novelty wore off the second he started commenting Port Adelaide games.
Yeah.
Because I think his first few games were neutral, if I recall correctly.
I can't exactly remember, but yeah.
But I feel like the sheen lost it very quickly because his anecdotes became quite, I don't want to use the term narcissistic, but they became quite self-involved to the point where he would sometimes he would interject and it would be funny and it would be okay. And then other times he'd be just telling a story that was just about him.
Yeah.
And then
he's almost filled the Dermot Brereton role.
Oh yeah, but I do like Ken a little bit more than Dermy.
I don't think that's hard. I don't think that's difficult.
A lot more than the guy who doesn't just. The new Dermy is Matthew Richardson.
Oh, is it? I don't watch Channel 7.
In my opinion, because Richo never shuts up about how, you can't do this in the game anymore, or they shouldn't be doing that, or they shouldn't be doing this. Followed closely by David King, who we know how I feel about David King and his constant negativity. And in a tight third space, Gerard Healy is in the line for those Sun Cannons.
I'm a slave to KO, so I don't hear Matthew Richardson, but Gerard Healy just feels like he's an angry old crumpet face. But I will say, if he does get something wrong when he's commentating, he does walk back his comments and say, "Hang on, got that wrong. I actually meant this." So
that's why he's third. He
will walk back on himself and fix something that he said, but he also seems very negative about everything he talks about.
Yeah, it's I can't stand it. I can't stand the constant negativity. Be critical of the game, but at some point you have to also enjoy football. At some point, We all have to enjoy football. Otherwise, what are we doing here? And what are we doing here, Damon? We're going to jump straight into your spark. Who is your spark for this week?
My spark this week is someone you might be looking at if you're moving on Finn Callaghan, because he's not that much to go up to in price, but he's scored 100, 107, 71, 105, 117, 90, and 122 in his last 7 games. Currently has a 3-round average of 109.7 and has a pretty good run from here in terms of midfield matchups. So my spark this week is Josh Ward at the Hawthorn Football Club, 484k.
Really?
Yes.
I like that one.
Plays North, then Brisbane, then Collingwood, then West Coast.
Okay, those are all pretty positive matchups.
I think Josh Ward is trying to tell the Hawthorn list managers that if Zach Merritt comes along, he's not the one making way.
Yeah. Okay. I can see that. Good spark, Nemo.
Thanks.
We'll move it on to the questions now. Remember, listeners, you can get our questions to us via the question form that's on our website or comment on our social media posts. 8 p.m. on Wednesdays is when we need them. If you want to send us a voice memo, which you still can do, send us to them on the website by 8 p.m. on Tuesday so Damo can get them ready for the show. Our first question comes from Wayne, who asks, I have 5 trades and 1 boost and lots of cash. Noble is causing my anxiety to flare. Have the 2 Millerers, Wilkie, Mills, Ash, and Hall Kahan, and then a dead Perez on the bench. Playing for league, so like some options. Also looking to move Rowan Marshall on from flex if he is still injured this week. I have Gawn and Jackson in the ruck, thinking Grundy or Sherry, but also wondering if Goulden may be a good flex, but prefer to do a DPP.
Okay.
There's lots to unpack here.
I like Goulden. I don't think the DPP should deter, or the lack of DPP rather, should deter that. But if you're looking for a DPP in your flex, it also rules out Grundy and Sherry, who you were also considering. So maybe you'll look at someone like a Jason Horne-Francis, 560k, really stepped up in recent weeks for Port Adelaide, having a really good second half of the season in that expanded midfield role. And now with a bit more responsibility with Zach Butters out, I think he's an option for you.
I think Zach Bailey as well, if you want a DPP option, if you don't already have him, is a fantastic mid-forward option that is, he's playing well. He's only 17% owned as well, which is quite low considering how well he's been on the season.
Yeah.
Chad Warner is also 505k, 13% owned, a bit of a pod option if you don't love Goulden, but you want a Goulden with DPP. Chadley's your man.
I don't think Goulden's a bad option, especially if you can look past the fact that he doesn't have DPP. But if you really need DPP, I think Zach Bailey or Jason Horne-Francis are your next best options.
Yep, agreed. And looking to move on Rowan Marshall from Flex, just making sure I've got everything here. Any defender options that we're looking for? He would like some options for defense. Play for leagues and would like some options. Noble, 2 Malerias, Wilkie, Mills, Ash. How's Mills doing on the year? I actually haven't looked at Callum Mills all year.
Callum Mills was a player that people looked at to replace Max Holmes. He's had a pretty good season, a couple of down weeks, but he's
been fine. He's had 5 good weeks and then 1 bad week.
Yeah, after round 7, he's only had 2 scores below 92.
Playing St Kilda, Port, Essendon, oh my god, and North.
Callum Mills might be a good option if you're looking for a defender, but he doesn't have DPP.
Yes. I'm just thinking just trying to interpret you a little bit here, Wayne, because you've asked about Rowan Marshall being in your flex, so I'm assuming that's the flex part of the question. So when you list all of your defenders who are giving you anxiety, like John Noble, I'm assuming that you're thinking about potentially moving on one of your defenders or replacing your dead Perez with an alive player.
Well, if he has 5 trades and a boost and lots of money, he could probably make a couple of moves this week, and so bring in a Callum Mills and an Errol Goulden. You know, take advantage of Sydney's run home from here.
I'd say John Noble might be worth holding this week, though, playing against Melbourne, who are typically have been a positionally good matchup for defenders.
Yeah, and I've also noticed he does already own Mills.
Yeah, no, that's why I was asking about Mills or whether or not he was someone worth keeping or moving on.
No, you keep Mills based on his end of the season.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at. I think you've kind of got all the best options that allow for sort of spike games alongside. So I wouldn't stress too much. Obviously, Noble's 47 is not great. He's got a good matchup this week. The only other person you could maybe consider is Blakey, but then that's probably too many Sydney players.
Yeah.
Luke Parker is still relatively affordable as well. And he's the second highest in total points for defenders.
Yep. Sorry, I think I got confused with Wayne's question there a bit by talking about Mills.
No, that's all right. I wasn't clear about why I was bringing that up. But hey, we got there in the end. Mrs. Clarkey. Ooh. Hello, my love. She has Callaghan to deal with and not much in the bank. She's considering holding Callaghan for the week and benching him while Herbert goes on field. Or the other option is to double down with Hall Kahan and Callaghan to bring in a top line player like Naz or some with DPP to cover other lines alongside a rookie. So this is her final two trades, I believe. And I think there's not a lot going on there.
Okay. So I don't like the second one. I don't think a double down from HHK and Callaghan to bring in Nas and then a rookie works. Which rookie you're going to bring in, because you probably are relying on whichever that rookie is to be on field. So I think you hold. So I don't think you do this in two trades. I think you hold on to Hall Kahan as it is. This week, absolutely hold and play Herbert on field and assess your options if you want to. That's perfectly fine, but there's probably nothing to wait for by making a move now instead of next week. And by waiting a week, you might even price yourself out of the options that are good this week. So I've had a look at some options around around the price point of Finn Callaghan. So if you're looking for at mid only, Josh Dunkley's had a okay second half to the season. Not great, but his last few weeks have been better. I mentioned Josh Ward before. His last 7 weeks have been very good. He was also the spark this week. And then Noah Anderson is 486k as well. So he's another guy who could potentially be looked at.
Unfortunately, I think she is also only a couple thousand short of a Zach Merritt type with the trading Callaghan and the cash in the bank, if I recall correctly.
I also wouldn't be against it, if you don't mind bringing him back in, maybe after trading him out. I know I don't like bringing players in who I've already traded out, but Jagger Smith.
I was just looking at Jagger Smith.
He's got a 5-round average of 104.2,
and he's really good at football.
Yeah, he's really come out of his skin a bit under Josh Fraser.
96, 113, 90, 92, 130. So actually not that much different to what Callaghan was getting.
Yeah, I really don't mind bringing back Jagger Smith if that's what people want to do. Darcy Wilson has also had a pretty good month or so, and he's just signed a brand new contract, so he's another option as well. Shea Bolton if you want another DPP.
Yeah, Tim Kelly, our boy, how's he doing?
Not in the price range.
414k.
Oh, well, not in the price range that came up for me, so obviously hasn't been doing that well.
No, he's not been doing that well. And that was all rookie coach, just remember that.
Yes.
Jose asks, what are your favourite Finn Callaghan replacement options that are mid-forward?
Well, we mentioned a few for Mrs. Clarkey already, but the list I have is Tuke Miller, Shea Bolton, Max Hall, Murphy Reed, Jagger Smith, and Darcy Wilson. I think Jagger Smith sits at number 1. with either Wilson or Max Hall at number 2. Murphy Reed could be number 3.
Zach Bailey.
And then Zach Bailey. Yeah, if you don't own Zach Bailey's probably number 1 if you don't own him. But I'm sort of moving in the frame of not having a lot of money to move Finn Callaghan from.
Yeah, it's kind of, you can go for two different price points really here, because Bailey, Warner, and Horne-Francis, I think, are the top 3. If money is no object.
Yes.
If money is an object,
correct,
then I would probably look at Jagger Smith would be my favorite. Alongside Murphy Reed, both fun, both dangerous, and then who cares after that? Darcy Wilson.
I would say Darcy Wilson has more of a ceiling than Murphy Reed at the moment, so I'd probably slip Darcy Wilson in between Smith and Reed, but all 3 are probably the best budget DPP options.
If Jack Ross can stop getting concussed for 1 week, he is somebody who for 425k could be just like a real sneaky loose option if you want to just go throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. Like, literally, he just needs to not get injured for 5 minutes. He's still averaging like 90 when he doesn't get injured. Jackson JZ asks, has there ever been a rookie in Supercoach that you started from day 1 and he played all year, made cash, scored well, and eventually made it on field like Jagger Smith has this year? He's been a star, and as the Blues fan, he saved my Supercoach. And as a Blues fan, he saved my Supercoach season.
There's a few guys. Jagger Smith definitely isn't in rare. Tim Kelly, when he was a rookie, he finished in a lot of people's teams, and I think he ended up in his first season at about 500k. Even went through a patch like Jagger Smith where his role was kind of changed and moved around a little bit, but Tim Kelly as a rookie when he landed at Geelong, he was a good one. Harry Sheezel and Nick Dacos were both basically premium straight out of the blocks.
Never heard of him.
I was just trying. When I saw this question come through, I was trying to look to see if any GWS or Gold Coast players back when they started had anyone, and no one really stayed in the team long enough to be a season-long keeper. But there were guys like Jeremy Taylor at the Suns who averaged 96 in his first season, but only played a handful of games. So yeah, I think Jagger Smith's had a really good season, but he definitely hasn't been in rare air being a day 1 and then turned into a premium.
I think James Jordan was pretty close. He had some pretty bad games in that 2021 season, which was like he'd been on the list for Melbourne since like 2019 or something around that area. Made his debut in 2021 and kind of was just like average 80, I think, on the year or something. Something thereabouts with a couple of real stinky ones in there. Maybe not necessarily made it on field, but he was someone that I wasn't in a rush to get rid of.
Michael Barlow, before he broke his leg, was looking like he would be a really good Supercoach rookie, but then obviously didn't complete the season. Greg Broughton as well also was really good in his first season, if you can remember back that far.
Who?
Greg Broughton, mate.
Who?
Educate yourself.
What team did he play for?
He played for Fremantle and then the Gold Coast.
All right. Very good.
Yeah.
Oh, Matt Rowell? Was Matt Rowell good when he started?
He did. He was, but he didn't complete the season.
That's right. Same with Will Ashcroft as well.
Correct.
Damn. Yeah. I think that's me out. It's like my brain racked. Pete has asked, Pete Z, fellas, I'm out of trade, so no more trade questions, but I appreciate your help along the way. Now questions send to VC and C. I have big names in Baz, Naz, Gone, Dacos. Well, howdy, y'all. Fellas, I'm out of trade, so no more trade questions, but I appreciate your help along the way. Now, questions turn to VC and C. I have big names in Baz, Naz, Gone, Dacos, Dawson. What's the best VC and C combo for this brand? Can Naz keep up his form? Will Dawson smash the Dons or just cruise?
You kind of slipped into a bit of Sheriff Woody at points there.
That's fine.
Disney
don't sue. Disney don't sue.
This week is actually quite difficult for captains, I think. because Nas might run into the James Jordan tag, not that a tag worried him last week. Dacos has the Mullen tag. Baz could potentially, so Bailey Smith could potentially have the Bo Allen tag. Do you trust Dawson to go hell for leather against the Bombers or just kind of cruise? Grundy's up against the hardest ruck matchup. Gawn's up against the third hardest ruck matchup. And Richmond and West Coast play each other, so you can't take advantage of going up against a lesser team. So you kind of have to get creative with your best vice captain and captain combo this round. I've kind of landed on, in terms of what I would do in the best situation, Bont's probably the best VC. The Dockers don't generally tag him. They just kind of shut down the system around him now. So Bont still can score well even if the Bulldogs don't perform well as a team. So I think Bont's a really good vice captain this week. And then your captain probably sits somewhere in the realm of a Sheasel or a Will Ashcroft.
Yeah, out of the ones that you've listed, I'd probably say VC Naz into Dawson probably seems the most logical to me. The only alternative being the VC on Bont.
Yeah.
But I think putting the C on Dawson just makes the most sense for you to try and loop.
Do you think that Dawson will dominate against the Bombers though? This is the question mark that people have. Do you trust Dawson to dominate the Bombers or just go into cruise mode?
I mean, what other choice do you have? This is the thing. I'm trying not to get into my own head too much about it because you could say the same really about any of the captain options. There's reasons not to pick them. When you're talking about potential, even on cruise control, if the Essendon that turned up last week turns up again, then he could do it with his eyes shut. He could do it napping from the bench. If a different Essendon turns up, then it could be all for naught. But in the same way, there's nobody else that really thrills. Like you said, you've listed all the matchups have either potential tags or they're just not necessarily positive matchups. I think on paper, it just makes the most sense to go for one of those guys. Like you said, Bont may be a good shout against the Dockers. The Dockers tend to focus on shutting down system and not players. So if you feel a bit more safer doing that. So what would be the deciding factor for you?
I
picking Dawson and not picking Dawson.
I think I think I'd like to have my captain sorted before the Sunday games, just given what Sunday games we have on offer this round.
Yeah.
So my VC will definitely be in one of the early games, one of the Thursday or Friday games, and then my C will be one of the Saturday games.
Yeah.
Which probably leans me into a Bont into Sheasel kind of thing, but I'm also going a bit rogue with my own captaincy choices. So this is purely just if you are going to do it and be smart about it, probably a VC Bont into C Sheasel.
Sounds good to me. Introducing best in, one player for your defense, mid and forward lines that we view as the best option for the week, plus the spark. That is what is replacing the traffic lights. So the full traffic lights are done for the year. We thank you so much for your engagement with them and showing them around. We're kind of just doing a one and done across all lines, but we will still post it. And if we have time and you have questions in the comments, we do our best to try and answer them when we can.
And just to be clear, best in's not replacing the traffic lights. It's only replacing. It's only replacing the traffic lights for the rest of this year. So best in's only a short term concept while the traffic lights aren't in full swing.
Yeah, I think people get that because we announced it last week and everybody listens to the podcast, right?
Yeah.
We've already done our vice captains and captains for this week, really, but all that's left to say about them is go check out Nate's captains article, which is up on the website, thefootymailbag.net. Nate does a great roundup for us every week.
We gave advice of the best captaincy options, but we didn't say what we were doing.
Nas into Dawson.
That's what
what are you doing?
That's what you're doing.
You're doing Thursday into Saturday.
I'm going rogue. My team is shot. I'm going to have fun. My VC is on Murphy Reid.
Go off, King.
If it doesn't work, then my captain's got to come out of one of the Saturday games, and probably Sheasel, could be someone else. I've toyed with Brad Hill. toyed with Zach Bailey. Right now it's on Sheasel. I feel like I need to at least nail my captain, even if my VC is a bit off the wazoo.
You could always go with Horn Francis.
Yeah, I could if I owned him.
You don't know? Yeah, I thought you did.
You clearly haven't seen my team in a while.
Nah. I've heard the word about it, and the reviews weren't great, so I didn't bother going and seeing the movie.
Fair. I'm sitting through the end credits, hoping for a post-credits scene.
When the director is sitting there going, "Man, this is shit," you're probably thinking, "I'll just skip that movie. Maybe I'll go see the Odyssey instead."
I'm just hoping that there's a post-credits scene, but I'm not holding my breath.
The post-credits scene is you holding up 2 football cards and seeing them make out.
The post-credits scene is another injury.
Yeah, a hidden injury. But that's it for this episode of the Footy Mailbag. Please make sure if you haven't given us a rating or review on your listening platform of choice, please do so. The best thing you can also do is tell your friends about us. Word of mouth helps us a lot more these days than anything else. And if you knew someone who wants to listen to Supercoach content, tell them about us. Tell them that we're nice. Tell them we're a podcast you can take home to mama. But you can find us at Footy Mailbag on X and Facebook, at The Footy Mailbag on Instagram, and also thefootymailbag.net is our website. Damo, where can people find you?
I am at DamoSC on Twitter or X or whatever people want to call it these days.
That's it. And you can find me over at Falcon Footy Pod, which is the other podcast I host, where this week we talked about a lot of things. Dwayne Russell has some weird eating habits. I feel like I'm a BuzzFeed headline, but Dwayne Russell's weird eating habits revealed. We adopted a boy. The podcast, we decided to adopt the player. Do you want to find out who? Go listen to Falcon at Falcon Footy Pod.
Did you know that Dwayne Russell's real name is Shane?
I didn't know that, but I did find out that people call him Pipe, mostly because somebody pointed out they weren't happy with what we said about Pipe, and all of us at the Falcon in our group chat were like, "Who the fuck is Pipe?" And it only clicked today where beloved co-host Cass put in the chat in all caps, "Oh, Dwayne, like a drain pipe." And we all collectively, I could hear it. It was like a Facebook Messenger group chat, but I could hear us all go, "Oh."
Yeah, I'm not sure where Pipe originated, but I did know that it was his nickname. But yeah, his birth name is Shane Russell. His commentary, his stage name is Dwayne Russell.
And he must be very sick. From what I hear, he eats before a broadcast. He must be a very sick man. He's not well. He needs some
instant
Gaviscon.
coffee and a liter of milk and like 4 family blocks of chocolate.
Yeah, it's pretty close to that. It's pretty close to that. But hey, if you want to find out, go listen to Falcon at Falcon Footy Pod. See you next week on the mailbag, though. Love you. Bye.